This December.
Hey, it is Africa that will build Africa.
The solution to something cannot exist in the problem.
The Gathering by Marvel's Diary.
One of the things that is needed when you want to make social impact, you include human beings.
Your imaginative ability is your creative capacity. How much you can think, as far as your mind can go, is as far as you can achieve.
Africa became under-civilized by the act of Europe.
They would always pick profitability over anything.
The UK lawmakers already back the bill to legalize euthanasia. You might say, oh, is anything wrong with that? It's a personal choice. It always starts with choice. Remember during COVID?
The breaking news, stay at home. That is the order tonight.
Work from home plan.
Home office.
You are the main character in your life. You speak, you act, and things shift.
Without you, I would not be speaking because, the chairs are always here, but I do not find myself standing here to speak to the chairs. But as people are here, there's an opportunity. So thank you very much, every one of you. Thank you. Okay, before I step right into it, I'd like to say thank you also to Ms. Amuli, who is the previous speaker. She inspired us, and I was just whispering to her that I would speak to my team because we have a project we started in 2024, December, about this time, recorded a number of songs, and this is 2025, December. My producer and I, we are still, the bass is not, raise it, tweak, the sound needs to be in the middle, So yeah, thank you for that. I think we are basically just procrastinating. You may not understand what that is. It is the same way we are procrastinating because in Africa, we are afraid of our greatness. Which brings me to the topic today, which is aiding the divide. How help became Africa's undoing. Aiding the divide, how help became Africa's undoing. When we talk about help, we talk about foreign aid. Foreign aid has paralyzed Africa. Let me bring it down to an everyday situation. So let's look at this thought. Consider a student who has always received an allowance every week from the day that he or she was born. Gets that allowance, and the allowance is always in an excess, as it were. Every week from the day that that child was born, he receives an allowance. So we're talking of someone who, while he had nothing to spend on because he was still very much under the care of his parents, was receiving an allowance. And as soon as he turned 17, or she turned 17, and was able to make, even if it's the smallest decisions for herself or himself, that trust was made available to him. And still weekly, there is that continuous deposit to that account. Not monthly, weekly. You find that that individual knows nothing about long-term planning, knows nothing about budgeting. It's through no fault of the individual. It's not because this person is lazy. It's not because this person has refused to grow. It's not because this person lacks spirit. But it's because the situation has structured the individual to depend on the consistent inflow. I'll give you another example. On X, there was a trending conversation a couple of months ago. It was about, they said there was two terms. One was for Ajay Board, the other one was for, please, Nepo baby and Lapo babies. Thank you. So I saw one of those conversations and someone said, a Nepo baby has the luxury of standing up and saying he wants to start a multi-billion-dollar business. He starts it, he crashes and burns, and then he goes back home and it's like, Mom, you know, it didn't work out, and they're like, it's okay, you know, it's fine. Here's more money. Go and live your life, you know. And the Nepo baby is like, okay, so but the Lapo baby, do you have that opportunity? No. So if someone gives a Lapo baby 100,000, what do you think happens? First things first. If I pay this light bill now at this price, it will last if I off these lights, off these lights, off these lights, charge only my phone, just use fans more. You see that? There is some serious conscious planning, yes? The Lapo baby, on the other hand, is like, okay, let's just run a budget. So we'll do social media publicity, $10,000. Okay, just do it. Just what platforms are we using? Say we are using X and TikTok and Facebook. Okay, go ahead, run it. And so, how far is it up? Yes, it's up. Okay, it's good. Let me see the video. And then it crashes and burns, and it's like, all right, we'll look for something else. We'll do it. All right. And then he moves on. He has opportunities to fail and fail and fail and fail again. But for the Lapo baby, the fear of failure makes him wise, makes him prudent. Now, the situation I described is the situation of Africa. The striking difference being that Africa actually has the wealth of resource to live like a Lapo baby. But the reason that Africa has not sat down to detail his resources the way in the example the Lapo baby was looking at how much electricity he needs to use so that he has efficiently utilized his expenditure on electricity, is the same reason Africa is not leading the world today. And what has caused that? Foreign aid. That is what we refer to as help. Foreign aid. So the first question you might want to ask, what is aid? I'll give you some definition of terms, and then we can go back to the lecture. So aid refers broadly to any assistance provided by one actor to another to support survival, recovery, development, or stability. There are important things in that. It says it is to support survival, recovery, development, or stability. Now, as I reel those words out, I want you to start thinking of Africa. Think of Nigeria. It is to support survival. Now, if someone is supporting your survival, it means that it should make what? Surviving. In fact, matter of fact, it should take you away from the trenches of survival, right, into a much more comfortable living. I hope you're following me. Let me explain. If we use the term survival to the degree that what it means that such individual is struggling to thrive, right? When you move away from the category of survival, you are in a much more comfortable environment. You can thrive. Maybe resources may not be in abundance, but you can thrive without struggle, right? So, if you think about Africa, you think about Nigeria, we are still in survival mode. You know, statistics came out. We are the poorest of the. Nigeria is the poorest of the poorest. Not we, because I'm not included. So when you are making the statement, also make sure that you don't include yourself. Are we good? Yeah. Because words are powerful, right? So don't include yourself. So Nigeria, as the country, has been detailed to be the poorest of the poorest, right? So we are still very much in survival mode, despite the fact that there's been a lot of foreign aid given to Nigeria. It says recovery. What are we recovering from? If you look through the historical antecedent of foreign aid, the first thing that happened was missionaries. They were the first inflow of foreign aid, right? So what did missionaries do? They built Western civilized schools because Africa had education. As a matter of fact, the first university in the world was in Africa, present-day Mali, what is referred to as Timbuktu, known across the world as the oasis of learning. Maths, psychology, whatever science you could think of, they were learning it in Timbuktu in Mali. People came from across the world to the universities in Timbuktu to learn. So that gives you, just in case you are thinking of yourself as, I'm just an African, I'm just a girl, I'm just an African. No, you are not. It's not just. Remove that term. So there was education. Like I said, the first university in the world was here. And that's where all those albinos came to come and learn. And then they entered and destroyed all the books, burned them, every single thing to the ground, and then imposed. Anyways, let's not digress. I usually get very passionate when I start talking about how Europe underdeveloped Africa. Now, so the first wave, they brought Western civilization, right? They brought their Western schools, their Western mode of education, which is one of the things that I look at Africans and I think that we are excellent because we still learn the way that Africans learn. And then we have adopted also the Western methods of learning. And in both of them, there is that excellence. I don't think they can learn the way we learn. If they could, they would have arrived here, learned from us, and then found some way to, the way they have international exchange students. That's what they would have done. But they couldn't really, so they had to destroy it and institute theirs. So we were not recovering, as it were, at that point. But when they decided to colonize Africa, they came with the wars, right? They killed people, slavery, put people on the boats, took them away. So that first batch of foreign aid was for what? Recovery from those wars. You had made the places war-torn, destroyed the schools like I mentioned, right? So now you then send missionaries, let's help them recover. Let's start building schools for them so that they can continue getting an education and the rest of it. So that was phase one. Then for development, they decided, okay, we would need to, create some motorable roads, that sort of thing, airports, so that when we come in, we don't have to use the sea again. You can fly in, stuff like that. So that's for development. But as far as it goes, how much of these have you seen post-colonial era? Not so much of it. There's not been that much development. I looked at videos of Lagos in the 1950s, and when I stroll and look around in Lagos in these 2020s, I'm like, looks like we went back. Looks like we went back. So bear that in mind. We said foreign aid is assistance provided by one actor to another to provide survival, support for survival, recovery, development, or stability. Now, foreign aid can be domestic or international. So in the case of Africa, what we receive is international foreign aid. So let's look at underdevelopment as a system. Now, one thing I want you to think about is, think of any African you know, or let's do it this way. You've seen news reports on so many valedictorians in universities in Canada, the US, the UK. What do you find most of the time? you find they are Africans, Nigerians especially, right? So it means that in terms of intelligentsia, Africa is up there. There's nothing about Africa that says we are not intelligent, right?
Hi, Initiates, Marvel here. I found out that some of us haven't subscribed. Don't be like that. Head back to the channel right now, click the subscribe button, click the follow on socials, turn on notification, so that when we drop a content, you're going to be the first person to see. How about you do that for me right now? Cheers. I'll see you in the video.
In terms of creativity, Africa is up there. Look how they took Afrobeats internationally, yes? Then Nigerian movies, look how widespread it is. And something about Nigerian movies really strikes me. I hope some of you know that Kenya, South Africa, Ghana, they were ahead of Nigeria. They had, and I think especially South Africa, they still have a better infrastructure than Nigeria. There was something you said about Nigerian movies and was it publicity or something like that you mentioned? I think it's more of an infrastructure challenge than an ideas challenge. Well, when you said that, I was thinking of how they do interviews. Marvel, they go here, there's some tour and all that kind of stuff. I think for Nigerian movies, more of an infrastructure challenge than an ideas challenge. So while they are working at it, which is what they did to get the global relevance that they did, because like I said, all these, you can research it, all these people I mentioned were far ahead of Nigeria. Then all of a sudden, boom, 1/3 pound road, Iweka, they took over. The movies were everywhere. In those movies, you see boom mic showing inside. You know the soundtrack, they are singing. I mean, I've observed that thing. Maybe I was in old Nollywood and they are singing morning devotion. Then all of a sudden the key just changes. You know that there was a cut and an action, but continuity manager did not remind them that this was the key you were singing on. So it's like in the morning, early in the morning. All of a sudden it just changes like that. You know, that kind of thing. So, but they moved with speed and became one of the top 3 at some point. Someone knows that the Southeast is one of the backbones of economic production for Nigeria. So the question is, what's the revenue they've been contributing to the federal government since they began the idiotic sit at home? So it is the same thing. When they bring that unrest, the economy, instead of people to do productive things, they are out there on Twitter arguing and complaining. And then that unrest now brings what? Division, right? Because then somebody now says, it's you Yoruba people, because it's your is a Yoruba man that is president now. And the other one says, when Hausa was president, do you see the challenges? How it spirals. It all begins with that foreign aid. The same way they come and tell you that we want to train a number of people, come for a fellowship. You know, that thing is very interesting. I've been offered like 3 different fellowships, and I've turned them all down. Say, come on. I said, okay, let me look into it. When I looked into it, I saw sponsors. One is BlackRock. I said, no, you don't. The other one is Klaus Schwab's foundation. I said, no, thank you. And the other one is Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I said, no, thank you very much. It would be interesting because when she was introducing, she could have been saying, he's a fellow of, the call one, he said, wow. A fellow of, wow. A fellow of, wow. This guy is something, right? I'd rather not. Because this is what happens. As I'm here talking to you, they would have had their people around, number one, covering it. And the one thing I will not be able to tell you is the truth about foreign policy. I will tell you instead, like those who work in the IMF, our beloved Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala said that the decisions that the federal government is taking is good and beneficial to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That is a lie from the pit of the West. Because the decisions they are making simply puts the West in control of our resources and our structures of leadership. That's what he's doing. So Nigeria is not a sovereign state. Nigeria is a vassal state that has to continue to pay obeisance to some Western country. Just as you had the Royal Niger Company taking and sending to the UK for the Queen from Nigeria, taking and sending. This is why you have most of our artifacts in the UK. Most of you here, in fact, let me not say most of you, most of us here do not know as much about Nigeria as people who walk into those museums where those things are in the UK. All you know about Nigeria is APC, PDP, and now Labour Party. That's what you know. Did you know that, they say the longest wall is the wall of China. Did you know that Benin had a longer wall than that? This is our backyard here now. If you take transport, it's probably like 15,000 if you want to be exposed to kidnappers. Then if you don't want to be exposed to kidnappers, you probably spend a lot more to get to Benin. That one is just this backyard here. Had the longest wall, longer than the Great Wall of China. Did you know that? Did you also know that in ancient Benin, they did not have doors? Not because they did not have the ideology for it, but because not a single soul was poor. I'm not the one that wrote it. A Portuguese, what do they call them? These people that are explorer. He wrote that before the British came and destroyed. He wrote from what he observed. They didn't use doors. They had the frame, but they don't. Because nobody was poor, so there was no fear of theft. Go to Benin today. You will see a lot of poor people. So, foreign aid as it is has destroyed Africa. What are the few things you can start doing? Number one, stay home. If you had JAPA plans, cancel it. Cancel it. Recalibrate. JAPA should not be part of your plans. Yeah, you said, well, he's a fashion designer. If he goes out now, look the way he's dressed. If he goes out now, he bangs straight. But it's deliberate. So that you would want to go out. Then they will claim you. Because they will give you a passport quickly. And they will soon start calling you Canadian Nigerian. Right? That's what they do. They call you Canadian Nigerian. So the Nigerian is second, and soon it will be Canadian. DLK. You say, DLK, big boy. He has gone and done it. But if you are here, the structures, because of foreign aid, will not allow you. Because what would have stopped him, really, from having a network across Africa, first beginning with Western Africa, is that foreign aid issue. I know of someone who I spoke with because I needed him as a facilitator for something. He owns a very big pharmaceutical business. He cannot sell in Africa. He has to take the product to Saudi Arabia, then send it from Saudi Arabia as Saudi Arabian stuff back to a country. Now, he's here in Nigeria. They have their factory somewhere in Lagos. I visited the factory. I was stunned. He cannot just move it straight. He has to take it to Saudi Arabia first. Then they reroute it from Saudi Arabia as a product from Saudi Arabia. So number one, I said, stay back. That's number one. Stay back. Don't be eager to run. Number two, you need to sit in forums. When I say forums now, I mean in conclaves, meetings, where young Africans with like minds are. Because what we have not realized is that young people are a pressure group that is stronger than any pressure group. Do you know why? You have consuming power, you have purchasing power. What does that mean? You are a market. Every business you decide, that's why I don't like cancel culture. But it should set some. Now let me explain why I don't like cancel culture. Jesus was talking, he said, pray for your enemies, right? So if someone did something wrong, what's the first thing this day and age teaches you? Is to cancel the person, right? So don't buy from them, you know. Although there are businesses I will still say you should not buy from, because you're empowering them to continue to put us beneath heel. So that's one. Yes, it's a good way. But this is the reason I don't like cancel culture, because people take it to the extremes. You now leave and begin to hate the individual. Example, there was a footballer who had some issues with his wife, you know. He had to leave England and go to France. He's playing in France, and people are still, since how many years? The problem he had with his wife said, oh, leave him. He's okay. It's a misunderstanding. Police say, okay, you are free to go. Your wife says it's a misunderstanding. So, we go. But people say, no, he must die. They don't want to see him win awards. They don't want to see him succeed. They don't want to. That's what cancel culture can do. And that's the part of cancel culture that I do not like, because it's very unchristian. It's very unchristian. If you're a Christian, you know that people can change. People can repent and grow. So why cancel the person? There's an opportunity for change, right? It's an opportunity for growth. So that's the part of cancel culture that, to me, is dangerous, and that's why I do not approve of it. So, as I was saying, join such conclaves, have those conversations, write these petitions, call for meetings. The truth is, industries, businesses will bow faster to young people, but young people do not know that. Is it a spa? Who are they targeting? It's young people. If all the young people say they are not using petroleum products again, Dangote will call for a meeting. So, but the challenge is that the organizations of young people that currently exist do not have people with the right mindsets. Example, if I were to ask any of you here now, if you were a youth member in any political party, I do not think I will see a hand come up. If there is such hand, let me see it. You see? APC, PDP, the new ADC, LUP, 71? None. See what I'm saying? So what happens is that those hungry people who are young people then go into LP or PDP or APC and sell the rest of you for 250 kobo per hour because you are not interested. Do you understand what is happening? So this is why the change has not come. It could have been here if we were in the right spaces. But we are not in the right spaces. We have not put ourselves in the right spaces. So what do you do? Like I said, join such conclaves. There is the Africa Youth Economic Forum. Which other one do I know I can trust? You know, find yourself. Anyway, even in those political parties, find yourself there. I remember when Labour Party came to meet me here, Labour Party of Lagos State. They came to meet me here. Came to my office to see me. I said, you're welcome, sit down. I'll tell you what I can do for you and tell you what I need. I need a seat at the table, national. If you do that for me, the local government elections, don't worry about it. We will not rig it. We will not steal ballots. We know how to penetrate the young people. And they say, okay. So the problem was from the national, because at the national they had an issue at the time. They had two leaders who were at loggerheads. So there's one national leader, there's another national leader, and they couldn't sort themselves out. This one says, oh yes, give them a seat at the table. And I wasn't going to sit there. I was going to put someone there because I cannot, with my position and what I do, I cannot be actively partisan. So there was somebody that was going to be there because when I finished with Labour Party, I was going to go and look for APC. And then I'll put somebody there and move out and go and look for PDP and put somebody there and move out. And now this ADC, I'm looking to enter that place and put somebody there so that we can positively influence. When they have the primaries first, whoever is going to win, you determine it. That's how it starts. You determine it. And then the person has to go there and fulfill the mandate that you gave them. Because they know it was not their money that brought the vote. If their money brings the vote from the primaries, they can do whatever they want. They can respond to whoever lends them that money. But if it was not the money, that's where it starts. So that you can now go there. Because the truth is, Africa can actually say no to some of these things. This policy you brought, we are not taking it. It's our resource, we are not giving you. Take it away. We will not give you the foreign aid, yes, we will die. Take it. Then they take it. Has Burkina Faso collapsed now? Has it collapsed yet? It's still there. They are thriving. There's more development there now than has ever been. And I tell you, for example, for Nigeria, if foreign aid is destroyed and destabilized, you see this terrorism we are seeing, it will vanish like this. Because the location of most of these terrorists, that forest you are saying, that is there. There is a particular natural resource that is there that is very expensive. They are not there they are not hiding there. They are protecting something there. They are protecting something and someone in that place. So it will vanish, and Nigeria will own its own resources and do with it as we please. So I said, 1, stay home. Don't jabba. 2, join the right place.
Initiate's letter is the letter that we write every first day of the month to the initiate. And you know what we do? We talk life it. Also, it comes with a sprinkle of chaos. So how about you head on the website right now? There's a place on the website where all you need to do is put your email or go to the Instagram. There is a link in the bio on the Instagram where you go subscribe. I'm going to see you at the initiate letter.
The right spaces. And when you get there, let your voice be heard. This is why that first topic is very important. Consciousness of choice. Choose first to become dominant in what you do. Because a person that commands power is someone who is dominant. Think about it. Think about it. Nobody gets an invitation to a country without, you know, they say, we'll call it special talents visa, right? Just think about it like that. So, special talents visa, we are giving it to you, we are giving you this thing. So, imagine you were dominant in your field. You said pharmaceuticals, right? Imagine you were a dominant there. And you walk into, by dominance, I don't mean you need to have money yet. Just have some insane IPs. You know? And people can see that there is prospects there. When you walk into a place and speak, you are speaking from a place of influence. Because somebody knows that 2 years down the line, this guy can completely transform the pharmaceutical industry in Nigeria. So, we want to hear what he has to say. If it's music, the same thing. Because one day you just pick your phone and make one tweet. And they know what's going to happen. Do you get what I'm saying? So when you speak, they will be willing to listen. And apart from that, that united force, do not allow this tribalism you are seeing. It's engineered. It's not real. Don't allow it to influence you or affect you. Because they know that if young people can come together and agree on a thing and push for it, they have to respond. But if you are distracted by they are not my people, these ones are not my people, you will never be able to come together and do that. So be a voice. Make decisions to be exceptional in your field. When you are exceptional in your field, you can command influence. When you command influence, you can command decisions in the rooms where those decisions are being made. I'd like to say thank you one more time for listening. And before I step away, I'd like to ask if there are any questions from what we have discussed, so we can have a back and forth between ourselves. Yes, please. There's a question there. We have two questions. 3, 4. I can see 4 hands.
Thank you so much, Sharpan. Very, very enlightening session. I want to ask a question. Psychologically, there's a saying that when you have a habit of 5 years, it takes you an extra 5 years to actually completely beat it out. Like the time spent growing that habit, it should take an equivalent amount of time to actually be completely free of it. Now, down to the case of the predicament that we are facing in Africa right now. This has been decades and decades and decades of just so much. It's draining, right? And we have come to a point where, as young people, we realize our strength and our value and our, the enlightenment that we have come to find. Would you say that it is also going to take an equivalent amount of decades for us to dig ourselves out of this pit that has already been dug for us? Because, it's one thing to be enlightened, but it's another thing to have, that mindset to be able to see the vision of your enlightenment come to fruition while you're still alive, right? Yeah. And I'm just curious what your perspective is of that as a young person, knowing fully well that you might not see this change and impact in your entire lifetime, how do you have the capacity to actually influence what you have right now in your space, so that even if you are not going to see that victory, you can set something or standards or foundations in place for the next 2 generations ahead of you to feel the impact of your own sacrifice for now?
Okay, thank you very much. Interesting question, and an important one as well. Okay, so first thing I said, you need to build influence. Now, before I even go that way, it will not take as long as imagined. To build something is a lot more difficult than to destroy a thing, right? What we are looking at first, if we strategically approach it, what we are looking at is destroy the shackles of foreign aid and its influence on foreign policy, right? So destruction is easier. They say to start chaos is very easy. Yeah? Now, what are the first things we need to do? Negotiation. Now I'm talking at the government level, because that's the end point. So at the end game, what do we need to do is negotiate. Example, let's say we are a little dependent right now, or a little too dependent right now on foreign aid to be able to fulfill a national budget, for instance. We've not, in quotes, we've not created enough, and these are the reasons. 1, we've not created enough revenue. We've not generated enough revenue, right? And the reason could be also tied to foreign aid. Interestingly, because the fact that they determine the prices of what they can give you for your natural resource is a problem in itself. And when they take it away, they do not take it at fair international market prices. They take it at prices that they set. Remember why I said negotiation? You first negotiate the prices. Say you are trying to gradually pull away from it. You first renegotiate the prices. If, for instance, they say a barrel or an ounce is going to be $1 million, you can say no. The international price is 23 billion. What we are going to take for this now is not $1 million per ounce. We are going to take 15 billion per ounce. Reason being, you are supplying us aid. Yes, right? Observe, you have jumped from $1 million per ounce towards $1 billion per ounce. That increases your inflow and reduces what you need from them. Does it make sense? So by the next time they are coming to the table to offer, you say, we don't need that much. What we need is this small. And if this is all we need from you, then we are going to sell at 20 billion per ounce. They will haggle and haggle and haggle and haggle. And if your management is proper, the truth is by the next time they come, you should be ready to do without them if they say they are not doing it. So by the time they haggle and haggle and haggle and arrive at 20, by the next time you will not need them. Because you've been actually generating much more than what that foreign aid was bringing in. You actually don't need it anymore. And at that time, you can tell them, we don't need aid. Thank you, we are good. Once you don't need aid, there's no need for such policies anymore. It's gone. Now you make your own policies for your country that favors your people. Right? But now, to be able to get the federal government to do that, we have to start the groundwork, which is part of your question, because I split your question in two. This is phase one. This is how easy it is to remove your hands. But to get the government to do that is why I said in my closing that we need to build influence and get into these places so that we can influence. There is a youth structure for every political party. And every political party has aims, objectives, purposes, and vision. If the vision of that party is influenced by the larger, because the thing about democracy is that it functions on the principle of numbers. Sad thing, because the majority of people, let me bite my tongue there. Let me put it back. The majority of people are not as mentally evolved as they should be. You can see that in example of how much following certain characters have. You know, someone says he's going to kill himself because the person he put his seatbelt, drove his car into a distance. Look at the amount of following he has, right? Look at how stupid that action is. And all those people have voters' card. So that's a problem with democracy, because it means that all those people actually vote. If that person, because you need to understand the psychology of social media. What does the word say? It says what? Follow. Who do you follow? Someone that does what? Leads you. If that number of people, that is their leader, who do you think they will choose in a poll when they see reasonable people? They will choose someone that is more like what? Their leader. And at the end of the day, you'll be left with what? So you need to get into the places that prepares the thing they have to choose. So that there's a thing called, there's strategic rigging. Let me explain. Remember what I said? I want to get into LP, get into APC, then to put people there. That's strategic rigging. Because at the end of the day, the quality of people that will come out from all those places are similar quality with the mindset that I'm looking for. That's strategic rigging. So that if they put APC, ADC, PDP, LP, all of them are thinking the same thing that I'm thinking. Do you get it? So that's what we need to do from our level. Build your influence, get into your people, go into those spaces, hijack it. Not the way those boys stole ballot, but hijack it strategically. One, you already have influence. That's power. Two, you have people in there with you. And they say, you are beating democracy because you have numbers now. Right? That's the game. So when you are on top of it, and the leadership of the party demands or makes a request, you make demands. That change starts, and then there's the ripple effect, takes all the way to the top. I hope that satisfies. Okay, we have another question. The young lady behind. Thank you very much.
But I can project. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I think they need that for production level, for production purposes. I don't know. It's okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask, and I wanted to ask how we can break, because I think something that is very prevalent in us, in our culture as Nigerians specifically, is the mentality of a helper and somebody coming to help us or save us or help us.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know your thoughts on how to break away from that somebody is coming to, or somebody needs to help me or to give me mentality. I understand that you can't do things by yourself, of course, and you shouldn't set out to do things by yourself. But just how to, number one, stop waiting for somebody to act.
For some messiah.
Exactly. And it was also very interesting when he asked his question, because he was talking about like having a habit for like X amount of time, but you've dismantled that. It doesn't have to take the same time, but it's just like, this has been our culture for a while. So how do I break away from that?
Thank you very much. First thing is to re-engineer the meaning and understanding of the word help. That's the first thing. When you want to change somebody's mindset, the first thing you do not do is to go drastically away. Don't tell people they don't need that kind of help. Tell them they need help, but what is this help? We begin first by re-engineering the understanding and the meaning of help. Right? What do we now say help is? We say help is assistance at minor levels to enable you accomplish what you need to accomplish. Everybody needs assistance at minor levels. Why would you say minor levels? To throw the burden of responsibility back on the individual without taking away the concept of being helped. If an individual now understands that the burden of responsibility lies much more on his or her chest or shoulders, and that the help that you are supposed to get is at minor levels, the attitude and approach immediately begins to change. Because now you understand that whoever is coming to help you is not a messiah. It's not your savior. You are your own Superman. What that person is Pluto, the dog. If you are not familiar with that character, there is a dog that Superman, you don't understand. So, you are your own Superman. You need help. Yes, we understand that you need help. You will get help. But first, the only reason you will get help is if you, first of all, act as the one who owns it. It is your thing. So go. Start getting things done, and then Pluto will join you. Imagine working on your garden. You are taking sticks. Do you expect the dog, when you have a wheelbarrow, do you expect the dog to hold one stick? When will that thing be done? It takes a longer time. But if you stack a lot of wood in the wheelbarrow and the dog carries one, that's what you need to paint as a picture for what help should be. And when you begin to do that, and of course, show yourself as an example. This is why you building your own influence is very important. Use yourself as an example. People like testimonials. Use yourself as an example. See, when I did this, I started out, I did this. Then this person, they say, okay, that's actually what it is. There is no helper coming from anywhere to just carry me and fly me away. Is that clear? So that's how we can make the change. Okay, if you have further questions, please, you can meet me. Yes, you can meet me subsequently. I'm always available. I'm not Davido, so I'm available. Davido says he's unavailable. So I'm available. You can always see me and talk to me. So I'd like to say a big thank you one more time to everyone here for paying attention and being present. Thank you very much. And I hope to see you next time. Thank you.